Hello Deck Scrubbers, welcome to the Sakura Pirates. You're with me today. We're here navigating the op10 meta post the recent ban. No surprises who I think might be most victorious from this ban list. Let's dive on in. So we did have the following cards banned. This was the news at the Worlds over the weekend. So we did have the Gecko Moria banned, the Ice Age banned, Jinbei banned, and Raigo banned. Now the Moria and the Ice Age, I feel like the Moria everyone suspected was going to happen. It's been expected for about a year now. He just creates so much advantage. The Ice Age, I personally thought this one is likely to get banned. It's just so powerful for 1 to drop 5. I felt like banning, I was sort of hoping that they'd ban Ice Age over Moria. I feel like the strength of Moria and Ice Age combined is where Black was really dominating. Being able to play the Moria into 2 other bodies, play the Ice Age as well, so then you're, bring out a Lucci, KOing, a 7 cost and another low body is just too strong for Black. And the only way that was, decks were sort of able to get around it was things like Doflamingo, where they were able to establish 2 bodies per turn, and that's where we come into the Jinbei. So there were everyone knew Dofi was going to get hit. He's been too strong for too long, and even in the upcoming sets was still going to be a contender. I didn't think the Jinbei was going to be the target for this. I thought possibly the Teach, but it was the Jinbei. Raigo was sort of a unexpected one for me. That said, I sort of like that it was banned. I don't think, I think it's might impact an L. I think that's probably the only one that it could impact. But what I do like about this ban is taking away this from Blue. Blue didn't have a lot going for it outside of, Dofi's strength. And I do like that Blue has this access to these really good counter cards. This really good disruption type cards. So having things like Red Rock, being able to remove anybody, I really like that. But then if Yellow's got that too, it sort of takes away from Blue's identity. So I sort of like that they have hit Blue hard in their Doflamingo, but sort of said, well, Blue's still got, something going for it. There's a reason to play it. Alright, so let's have a look at the decks affected by this. We have, first off, Dofi has been significantly impacted by this. He's still playable. He won't be able to do his, bring out 2 Warlords deal. He still has his strength in his leader effect, being able to bring out, a cheap Warlord each turn. The disadvantage of that one is that he's turned sideways versus the Jinbei. You still will be able to do a fair bit of stuff that they left the teaching place, so you're still able to cheat out Don each turn. I think he's still playable. He's just not going to be impactful like he was. The Luffy, however, I feel like there could be other builds for this Luffy, but realistically, he has been hit the hardest within this. I don't believe Luffy was using Ice Age, but he was using Moria. Moria was the linchpin to his strategy, being able to use Moria to bring out 2 of the kid bodies, the Sabo and the Luffy, or a combination of the 2. Put the remaining 2 Don onto leader, bring out 2 life, change those kids into the adults, boosting Luffy up to 9,000, usually one's a Sabo, so everything can't be KO'd. Sabo can block, and to hit a 9k, more than once when he's got plenty in his hand, it just became a really insurmountable task if it got going. So without that Moria, it really gets impacted quite big. Luffy was also using the Raigo to take away its own life when it was being a bit slow played. So it's lost some tools within that as well. The other one that's been really hit hard, our reigning champion, Rob Lucci, who took down the Worlds, he's lost access to Moria, he's lost access to Ice Age. Both of these are going to be key points for his strategy. He's not going to have the reach he did for KOs like he did anymore, and he's not going to be able to establish that strong late game that he once was, which he relied so heavily on it for these wins. So I think Lucci has been hit quite hard as well. Right, so let's have a look at, this is what the OP10 was in the East prior to the bans. So they had at the top, Dofi was number 1, Blackbeard number 2. Blackbeard gets a lot of strength in OP10 with the Kuzan. Kuzan being irremovable from the board, except by his own effect when he takes one from the trash and replaces it with himself and draws a card. So that card draw is super useful for the teach, but it also allows him to go into a card that he needs, being the Dot Q or the Van Augur. So it gives him either the removal or the neg, whichever he needs. Whatever's not in the hand, he can grab the other one. So his removal is quite strong, and his ability to maintain his hand size, which was his big detriment in OP09, has now been adjusted. So in OP10, quite a strong leader. We also had sort of here in third, Usopp. Usopp, I believe, was quite strong mostly because he had a good matchup into Dofi, and could just keep his hand size and deal with a lot of these other decks which were trying to handle Dofi in a different way. So he found himself in the meta because of this. OP05 Luffy, quite a strong one, was still held back a bit by Dofi, but was decent into Teach. So he found his place in the meta. And then we've got Shanks here, and Shanks has been sticking around for quite some time now. After that, we've got ourselves Kid, I would say, is the next one, new riser in OP10, as well as the Smoker rising up in this. Smoker, I feel like, had a strong end to the OP10 season right before EBO2 came out, so I would be expecting a lot more presence of this than what this sort of graph is showing. It wasn't really found until late in the meta. Alright, let's have a look at sort of what we might expect. So we've got some new gatekeepers now. With the rise of Blackbeard, Blackbeard's really good at holding back the Bonnie, holding back the NL. Blackbeard was already the second most represented in the East, and I feel like without the Dofi, it bumps him right up to that number 1 spot. There's no, really obvious decks which is gonna bump him down enough. So I feel like he's going to be quite represented, and as such, him being able to switch off Bonnie and switch off the Kid that she uses as the defense, just to swing into face and take her out easy, is really going to hinder Bonnie and make people go, should I be playing Bonnie or should I be playing a different option like the Smoker? And with Anel, Anel's copped the Rygo hit as well, but having Blackbeard around, being able to switch him off, it just makes him not a great option for the current meta. These ones here, however, they're the ones that aren't being gatekept by Teach, and they're the ones that we're likely to see, rise in a little bit of popularity. Rise in a bit of popularity without the Dofi, the Lucci running around. So the old gatekeepers, now the Dofi and the Lucci, these guys were really holding back some of the other decks, like the Zorro, like the Betty. They just weren't able to establish boards around this Lucci, and Dofi was just able to create a bigger board than these other ones. So Red Purple Luffy, that's in there for a different reason. He is more of a late game big body player, and he just wasn't able to keep up with the pace of Lucci, and wasn't able to deal with so many bodies on board. Luffy did do well into Dofi, but if Dofi just hit Jinbei after Jinbei, there was just no answer to that. So without these two here, I could expect a rise in some of these ones here. So having a look at what I think the new meta is going to be, I think we're going to be in a Blackbeard dominant meta. I think Shanks is going to rise up. I think we're going to have our new guys on the block also in there with the red-green Smoker and the yellow Kid. I think they're going to be in here as well. But I also think we're going to have a rise in aggro decks. We're going to have, more Zoros, more Bettys. They're not going to be checked by the Dofi anymore, so they will be in there. And with Teach in there, these decks that just go in and fast and hit Teach before he can drop his 10 cost, they're the ones that are going to do really well into this. We're also likely to have a lot of these ramp decks which ramp faster than Teach and establish their boards wide better than Teach can. They're no longer being checked by Lucci and Dofi, so we might see a rise in these ones. I personally would love to see this Luffy do well before the EBO2 comes out. But there is another deck which I've been testing out myself. I've been looking at the Zoro Sanji, and I'm really excited about this one because it is in that sort of aggro category. I've got a really nice build which doesn't need the Warlords, so I'm really excited to share that probably in my next video. And I just love it because it's still got access to all this blue great disruption that you've got the pudding, you've got the red rocks, you've got the grav blades. They're all at your fingertips, and really excited to share that one with you guys. If you would like to see it, please do subscribe so you don't miss it. If you like this video, give it a like, and let me know in the comments what you think, how you think this meta is going to shape up before EBO2 comes in and disrupts everything again with the Great Luffy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.